Jeremy Corbyn says the First World War was terrible imperial slaughter, but it would not have stopped him defending his country. The Labour leader added that he would have worked for peace but would have done what was necessary in war. Reflecting on the meaning of war with former soldier George Durack ahead of Remembrance Day, he also paid tribute to all like him, who fought fascism in the Second World War. Mr. Durack, 93, was a rifleman serving with the legendary Desert Rats. He joined the army in 1942, aged 18, and saw action in France, Belgium, Holland, and Germany. He left in 1945, returning home to Islington, North London, where he has lived all his life. The two men have known each other for more than 30 years. JC, what do you think about during the 2-minute silence? GD, I think about the guys that fought in the war. They were good people. A lot of pals of mine. I don't know what happened to a lot of them. I remember Sergeant Brown, a good friend. He was walking right beside me. We went through a small village and a shell went right through him. You never forget that. I think about children who have died in wars. In places like Syria. Children who have died of hunger. I found that the most awful thing. Grown-up people making wars where children die. What do you think about? JC, I think about all those who died in the wars. I think about the horror of war. I think about those who died in the trenches. And I think about how to make sure the next generations don't go through it. Remembrance Sunday is a good thing. GD, would you have joined up? JC, it's very hard to put yourself in that place, in a different time and generation. The First World War was a terrible imperial slaughter and a lesson to future generations. I'd have done everything possible to work for peace and whatever was necessary to defend our people. I think of it from my mom and dad's point of view. They were born during the First World War. They both had enormous respect for objectors over what the First World War was about. But they both supported the Second World War. My dad was an engineer and so not called up, but he was in the Home Guard. My mum was an air raid warden in London during the Blitz, so she was doing her bit. They were both people of peace but felt, because of the Nazis, they had to do something. You've told me going into Germany opened your eyes. GD, that's right. Going through Germany, that was the first knowledge I had about the propaganda. I suppose it's natural we were told they were nasty and had to be killed. But then we met them and they were ordinary, everyday people the same as me and you and everyone else. JC, and you've spent your life trying to make sure there's not another war? GD, I voted for you simply for that. When I came back I realized talking is always better. But you do think there's still a role for the armed forces? JC, a big one. Peacekeeping and humanitarian work. I talked to people from the Royal Navy who had been involved in the rescues from people in the Med. They were so proud of what they have done. And quite rightly. GD, I think there's a big difference between the way we were treated back then and how the armed forces are treated now. Today, I look on the TV and you see soldiers coming back and sleeping in the street. JC, soldiers before they leave should get support on decision-making and issues round housing, for example. And for PTSD, counseling available all the time. We want to build a country that's fit for them. That supports them,